So, loneliness and connection. Amanda, what's loneliness to you?
Um, well, I'd say it's not being alone necessarily. I think loneliness to me, when I felt the most lonely in my life, has not necessarily been when I've actually been totally alone. I think it's more a state of mind. So you can
Mm.
be surrounded, you can be in a crowded room and feel very, very lonely. And I think we've entitled this loneliness and connection for a real reason, and that is that when you feel connected, you don't feel lonely. It is almost the opposite, isn't it?
Mm.
But when you feel disconnected, that to me is real loneliness.
Exactly. So, I guess so. Feeling lonely is like maybe not being understood.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, the point I think I'm trying to make is that actually it was more about my disconnect necessarily than actually people deliberately making me feel lonely. If you see what I mean, it's like I said, it was a state of mind for me. I believed that I was lonely and I felt it deeply. And I think that the disconnect I felt was, it was a lack of understanding. You're right. I didn't feel like anybody understood how I felt, and so I further disconnected from them, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And what, like, was there anything going on in your life at that time, or just
Yeah, yeah. My mum had died, and I think that I felt very much
wow,
isolated by that. Yeah.
wow? It's funny that you say that because the last time I remember when I felt so lonely was when my dad died,
Mm,
and that was the loneliest I ever felt in my whole entire life because I felt I was going through so much pain and grief, probably like you, and
mm,
of course nobody could understand. Nobody could understand, and then you kind of, like you say, then you detach yourself, don't you? Because
yeah,
nobody else understands you, so you don't really want to be with them because you feel more alone with them. So then you kind of retreat and you're by yourself, just with your thoughts, and I think, I guess that's the loneliest I've ever felt, but I think that can be quite dangerous, can't it? Especially if you're grieving, because that could
yes,
actually spiral into a depression.
yes. And I think it is, like I said, it's about being self-aware that the loneliness that you feel is purely because of the circumstances, not necessarily because you are disconnected from other people.
Yes,
Very often in those circumstances, people are trying to reach you, but you've kind of cut yourself off because you don't know how to cope yourself. And so it seems easier to just try and deal with it on your own. Um,
yeah,
and yet,
yeah,
actually, other people helping can sometimes be the way out of it. It's,
exactly. What do you
yeah.
think people can say then to make you feel less lonely? Like, what's helped you when, okay, that the examples we've given are quite extreme, aren't they? But like, what generally helps you when you're feeling a little bit lonely?
I think I think we all, the whole idea of being connected is really helpful, because I think that if you suspect that somebody, or you know somebody's on their own and you reach out to them, you don't know the impact that might have on them in terms of how good that might feel for them.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's important to be as honest as we possibly can about our feelings for people, so that if you know that if you love somebody deeply, tell them often and frequently,
well, oh
and
yeah,
don't
definitely.
be weirded out by it. Just do it,
Oh
because
yeah, definitely. But
I think that's so important. And actually
yeah.
receiving that as a person who is lonely, if somebody says that, I was just thinking of you just now and I hope you're all right, that can mean the world,
Oh,
can't
it's huge. It can be huge, especially when I've had like really bad days or something and wake up in the morning and I just feel terrible. And then someone just happens to send me a message and you're like,
it?
wow. And it just lifts your whole mood. And you're right. And you don't feel lonely. That can change you. That can change
Yes.
the feeling of loneliness. So yeah, be kind, send kind messages, be open to receiving kind messages.
Yeah.
But
Because
yeah,
I think that's really important as well to remember, like you said, about sending and receiving, because the thing I've noticed, particularly in my life, is the minute I start giving more, I start getting more back as
yeah,
well. So, I might send a message to somebody saying, oh, I really thank you for that helpful thing that you did for me yesterday. Then in return, I'll get something from somebody else that will
yeah,
say, oh, you looked brilliant yesterday. I really loved what you did. And you think, wow, that's amazing.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like
You get what you give. Definitely.
circle
Definitely.
around you. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is a very important topic, I think, especially now. So we're going to carry it over to LinkedIn, my LinkedIn page. We're going live now. So if you're watching this, come and join us on my LinkedIn page. See you there.
See you then.